Aloha and welcome. Today I want to give you some tools about how to navigate through Mars Retrograde, which is coming up September 9th, and it's retrograde in Aries. So grab a pen and a paper, and we're going to do these exercises together. It's going to be quick, but it's also really going to help your energies align with what's happening astrologically. So a big part of Mars's energy is anger and aggression. While we're going to be in Mars retrograde over these next few weeks, we may be confronted with anger and aggression within ourselves as well as within others. So now is the perfect opportunity for you to examine, how do you deal with anger when it arises? So there's three primary responses to dealing with anger, fear, aggression when it comes up. So I want you to take note of how you respond. So the first one is fight. You meet the challenge head on, guns blazing. Let me talk to your manager. You're ready to go and move through this. Second one is flight. When these emotions arise, you're out the door, not dealing with it. I'm out of here. Third is freeze. You become paralyzed and overwhelmed by the anger. So it's just like a deer in headlights. So we all have our go-to of how we usually deal with anger and conflict as it arises. Take note of what your go-to is. Now, during Mars retrograde, it may challenge us to explore our less used ways of dealing with anger. So this is a huge opportunity for you to try something new if you feel really unbalanced with how you're processing through anger. So if you tend to freeze or flight when it arises, you may find an opportunity where you're able to be more assertive and have your voice in that moment. So be aware of that. And if you tend to launch in and attack, this is an opportunity for you to be more restrained and become more balanced. So moving on to the exercise here, I want you to grab your paper and write down, when was the last time that you were overwhelmed by anger? So whatever one first comes to mind is perfect. Just use that. You don't need to think too long. And I want you to ask yourself, secondly, so you can pause in between to do your answers. There's just three. Secondly, how did you communicate your anger when it arose? Did you have a moment of explosion where you just let it loose and afterwards was like guilt and remorse for acting in that way? Or did you just shut down, not say anything, suppress it, take off? Take note of how you dealt with the situation. And lastly, I want you to direct your attention inward to identify your core desires and needs and values that you felt were not being met in that moment, which caused you to react in that particular way, whether it was an explosion, maybe you felt like you weren't being heard by the other person, or did you shut down or leave the situation? Possibly you didn't feel safe in the situation to express yourself. So ask yourself, what needs of yours were not being met in that moment that caused you to react that way? So cultivating healthy anger involves that self-reflection and mindfulness. So we need to have self-compassion, self-awareness, and really look back on how we reacted to improve on the situation when it arises again, because we will be confronted. And I believe over this retrograde time, we're going to be confronted with it even more. So try to bring curiosity to your thoughts and your feelings, even your physical reactions that came up during this time period that involved anger or conflict. So we really want to be able to move this energy so that it doesn't become stuck. So we don't want to move it in an explosive way, again, like we're going to feel guilt about acting a certain way because it's not who you really are, or suppressing it to where it gets held in the body, right? Where any anger that's held in your body in turn usually shows up as a way of depression or anxiety. So if you're somebody who has a really hard time expressing your anger, I would ask you, do you have symptoms of depression, anxiety? It goes somewhere, right? So we want to be able to recognize that so we can create that shift and change. And maybe we can't figure out why we explode. Maybe it's something that happened really early on in life that caused us to have these reactions of shutting down or exploding as a way of control. But I empower you to take full responsibility for your actions and reactions and not blame a parent for a way that we act or an ex-partner. We have to take full responsibility and ownership of our reactions and actions. Because at the end of the day, we're all victims of victims, and we need to create that change within ourselves. Let go of the past, make peace with it, and move forward. And this is the perfect opportunity to deal with anger. So I encourage you to look back on that situation, and I want you now to choose a different way that you could have responded. So it's so great. Wish we could just rewind and go back and not have said the things we said, or say what we needed to say. So take a moment to write down, you can pause me, to write down how you would have loved to express yourself in that situation. And lastly, this is your moment. I empower you over the next few weeks to really choose a healthy new way of expressing yourself as things arise, because it's an opportunity for you to navigate anger, conflict, so that you can leave the situation feeling proud that you spoke your voice in a calm way, you didn't explode, you didn't bounce, that it's really a lightening feeling for you so that you can feel empowered by the situation rather than shutting down or exploding. So I hope that helped. And again, I believe that all the astrological energies are there to support us. It's not only just knowing better that we do better, it's taking these actionable steps that really help us move through these energies even better. So if you have any questions, feel free to always reach out to me. You can go to my website, www.trishbianco.com, and send me an email there. I have plenty of other resources with life coaching, fitness videos, and meditations. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Aloha.